Now, from the studios of Into Tomorrow in Miami, this is ITTV.
We can't underestimate the importance of fire safety. Our next guest is with a leading manufacturer of fire safety products, and she's a committed advocate for fire safety education and awareness. And already I've discovered a delight to chat with. She is the Fire Safety Educator with a company called Kitta that we might always pronounce as Kidde because it's Kidde. You say, oh, I've seen that name. I have those products. But it's pronounced Kitta. Sharon Cooksey. Sharon, welcome into Tomorrow. How are you?
Oh, I am so great. How are you?
Doing much better, thanks. After vocal cord surgery. Go figure, a talk show host. But yeah, it's healing better every day. But glad that you're able to join us as well. And of course, fire safety is obviously very important in all of our homes and businesses and that sort of thing. But I'm sure that you've got some tips right out of the box. But tell us a little bit about Kidde, Kidde first, and then let's get into some of your tips.
So Kitta is proudly a Carrier company, Carrier Global Corporation. You may recognize that brand from maybe you have our air conditioning unit. So the Carrier Global Corporation is a very large company that has big 3 segments underneath it. And one of those happens to be fire and security. And that's where Kitta falls into the portfolio. Kitta is a leading world manufacturer of life safety products, and we've been around for over 100 years. Yes.
Wow. And you don't look a day over 20. Go figure.
I mean, I found like some really great fountain of youth.
Oh, there you go.
I'm kidding.
So let's get into then some of the tips, being the fact that you're a fire safety educator, which is obviously very important. We have some great tips from you, I'm sure, but some of the top tips that our audience should know about. And by the way, of course, we're shooting video with Sharon, so be sure to visit us at intotomorrow.com. You'll see Sharon waving at us, as well as the products that we're talking about too. So give us some ideas, if you would.
So here's my number one tip. Every time I meet people, I say, have you checked your smoke alarms lately? So, and by that, I mean, well, hey, if you are at home and you are listening to this or watching this, do something you probably don't do a lot. And that is look up on the ceiling, look at your smoke alarm. What color is it? So if it's no longer white, if it doesn't look like this lovely white smoke alarm that I'm currently holding in my hand that is brand new, then it might be time to replace it.
Oh.
So,
and of course, the other thing that I like to do, because it just scares everybody in the house, is push that test button.
I know, right? Thank you. I am like, woo, I'm not worthy with you, because that is so important. So here's the thing. You just hit the nail on the head. Number one, check your alarms weekly. Hit the test button. It's a little scary. It's a loud sound, but we want you to know that it's working, right? We want every home to have working smoke alarms. And by working, that means not only does it respond to that test button, that means it has power to it, but it's also under 10 years of age. So I often hear from people, but my alarm is hardwired into my house, or I just replaced the batteries in it, so it's fine. But even if you've done all of that, it's hardwired in, you've replaced the batteries just last week, and even if you hit the test button, it looks like it's responding. At 10 years of age, the whole alarm needs to be replaced. It doesn't matter anything, and nothing else matters. At 10 years of age, the whole alarm needs to be replaced.
So it's not a matter of some built-in obsolescence or anything. It's just, again, a safety issue, right? You don't want to take a chance with your lives.
That's exactly it. So, smoke alarms are not built to last forever. They're just like every other appliance in your household, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you periodically replace your dishwasher and the other appliances in your house. So let's consider a smoke alarm that as well. Oh, yeah. It's an appliance. It's there to help protect you and your family. And here, is what I think is the most scariest, is that right now in current environment, families have on average 2 to 3 minutes to escape once the fire starts. Not once the smoke alarm goes off, but once the fire starts. And that's on average. So there have been instances where you have 4 minutes, and there have been instances, below that, 30 seconds. But just know that that's what you have. So when I was growing up, like decades ago, in the 80s, right? You had 17, 30 minutes. You had time to run around your home and decide, am I take this picture, this dress, or whatever. But you don't have that time now. So time is critical. Every second counts.
Oh, for sure. And you don't have to do like I do and just burn something in the kitchen to test your smoke alarm. But if it goes off because of something like that, that's probably another good test. Well, at least the smoke alarm's working well, right?
Exactly. Well, I'm glad it's working. But here's a tip. So you bring up such a great point. You're so awesome. Is that people often complain, well, my smoke alarm can tell me when I'm cooking bacon,
Yeah.
So I get it, because I'm an expert with the microwave.
Oh, me too. That's what I usually make for dinner is reservations or use the microwave, because I don't burn too much too often. For that very reason, I don't want false alarms on my smoke detectors. That's the reason, yeah.
That's totally, we are somehow related.
Yeah.
We are related, because that is exactly my philosophy. So, but for people who are great chefs, again, not me, I understand that. So here's a real tip. If you're experiencing this at home, check your smoke alarm and make sure it's far enough away from that hot cooktop. So we recommend at least 10 feet between your smoke alarm and your cooking appliance. So, when I'm cooking, it's always going to be burnt. There's always going to be smoke coming from it. So just make sure that you have ample distance so that your smoke alarm doesn't begin to think that you're having a fire. So we want it to work. But there's also just another tip for the chefs at home. We don't want you, like on Thanksgiving, standing under your smoke alarm waving a newspaper to hush it instead of cooking your meal for your family. So look into there's a combo alarm. It's for the kitchen specifically. And so here's what happens is that you have a smoke sensor and a CO sensor in it, and they talk to each other. So here's how it works. So basically every fire outputs carbon monoxide. Mm-hmm. So the two sensors talk. So if the smoke sensor says fire, fire, the CO says no, there's no CO, it won't go off.
Oh. Do they talk loudly, like at night? Is this going to be an issue, or?
No, they whisper like they have.
Sorry, I had to go there. It's all about tech. But obviously they're communicating in code, so we wouldn't know what they're saying anyway. But the fact is, I think that's a great. Now, is this something relatively new, I'm guessing, in smoke detectors?
It's been on the market for quite a while. Oh. Yes, it's maybe a great kept secret, but yeah, so look on the aisle for a Kitta kitchen alarm, and you'll see it. You'll see that it has two sensors, and a combo alarm is just really a great idea anyway, because we believe that less than half of American homes are adequately protected against carbon monoxide.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we want to make sure that you have them. So
now, is this one of the unique features about the Kitta P4010? Is it? I'm seeing a lot of that on your website.
Thank you. So one of the unique features of the Kitta P4010 is its interconnected capability. So do you know what an interconnected alarm is? I would imagine that it's one or more that connect to each other, perhaps, and communicate with each other very quietly so you don't hear them. But they whisper.
If one goes off, then perhaps another one goes off as well to alert the rest of the house? So, look, you don't even need me on this. Well, thanks for joining us. No, I'm just kidding. No, you're an expert. You, like, ding, ding, ding. We have a winner, ladies and gentlemen, because Dave won. He won that round.
So that's absolutely it. So an interconnected alarm system is a fancy label for alarms that talk to each other. Now, in a standard or traditional environment, you would have a wire that connects your alarms, right? So it's commonly referred to as the orange wire. So for homes that were built, say after 2000, it really became kind of standard for that orange wire to be run, because interconnect is absolutely the most preferred system for smoke alarms on the market, because they talk to each other, as you just astutely pointed out. And so let's just imagine a house. It's a standard 2-story house. Let's say you have a kitchen on the bottom floor and the bedrooms on the second floor. Let's say you're asleep in your bed and a fire breaks out in the kitchen. In a traditional standalone environment with your smoke alarms where they're not interconnected, the fire breaks out in the kitchen, the smoke alarm closest to the kitchen starts signaling. But depending on the distance and how well you sleep, you may or may not hear it until the smoke makes its way to the second floor and the alarm goes off.
And it may be too late by then.
That's exactly it. Yes. So if you compare and contrast that with an interconnected system where they're all talking, so same scenario, a fire breaks out in the kitchen, and the minute that the one closest to the kitchen senses a hazard, it sends a signal to every alarm in the group. And so they all go off at the same time, giving you more time to get out.
No, that's terrific, and certainly life-saving by all means. Do the interconnected systems have to be interconnected via wire, or because of technology now, do we not have wireless technology? Will it use our Wi-Fi? Does it use its own proprietary wireless system? How does that all work?
So there are a variety of options on the market, because we've realized, right, that not every house was built after 2000, like mine, right? So I'm in a house that was not, right, so that was not pre-wired. So we wanted to make it easy. And we also realized that sometimes people just don't have Wi-Fi. You know, I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but
certainly none of our listeners wouldn't have Wi-Fi, but some people, I guess, it's hard to believe, but you're right, some may not have Wi-Fi, so therefore it has its own system, right?
Exactly. So our units talk to each other through basically a proprietary radio signal.
Nice.
So that wire is not needed, and also Wi-Fi is not needed. So, and here's what I just want to point out, because I think it's super important, is like during a severe weather event, it could be a blizzard, it could be an ice event, or it could be a hurricane from the summertime. Power can go out, right? Power goes out. It really does. And so at those moments are when people typically turn to things that can create a fire, like candles, etc., or carbon monoxide in your home, like generators and other things. By the way, if the second thing I just want to point out here, because it's so important, is that if you have a generator, please never, ever, ever bring it in your home.
Oh, gosh, no.
Ever.
Yeah. But I'm glad you said that, because some people think, well, yeah, power's out. We got to do what we got to do. Leave it outside, run extension cords, heavy duty, outdoor extension cords, and don't try to power everything. Just the important stuff, the critical stuff.
So important. It's so important. And I'll tell you why, because a lot of people don't know this. One generator can produce the same carbon monoxide as 100 idling cars.
Oh, my gosh.
So, yes. So please just remember that. If you bring your generator indoors, you're basically standing in a parking deck with 100 cars.
All running.
So,
yeah.
So, yes. So please don't. Okay. So back to this. So during severe weather, so we know that people, the power goes out, Wi-Fi's fail, right? Systems fail. So we designed a standalone system so that it operates without all of that. So if your power goes out, you should not worry about whether these alarms are going to work, because they're not connected to the Wi-Fi, right?
Gotcha.
So we made it. And we also realized that not everybody's tech savvy. So
again, hard to believe, but aside from our audience, of course, there are some that are not.
I mean, your audience is exceptional,
Oh, the
exceptionally techie savvy. So like my mother, like I'll point that out. My mother, who has to, call me if she wants to download an app on her iPhone. You know what I mean?
I see.
So these are great for them because traditionally, like my mother lives in the house that she's always lived in for 50 or 60 years, right?
Yeah.
So they definitely were not pre-wired for interconnect. So it's really an ideal situation for maybe seniors in your life because our alarms, they have a very easy press and connect button.
Oh, okay.
So instead of taking hours to download an app and connect them and have them set up, basically you'll put your alarms on a table together. You'll select one as the master and you'll press down on the middle button for 5 seconds until you hear 2 beeps. It automatically connects with the alarms around it. You'll hear it go connecting, and then successfully connected.
Got it.
So then you press any one of them, you hold the middle button down for 2 seconds. It essentially closes that loop, and then it says ready to install.
And I'm assuming
it takes 5 minutes.
And I'm assuming, Sharon, that the range is such that an average house, whether it's a 2-story or single-story or otherwise, is well covered then, right? The radios, if you will, inside these alarms can communicate with all the others without a problem.
That's right. The range is about 300 feet.
Oh, excellent.
So, yes. So, definitely. And you can have 12 smoke alarms connected.
Wow.
At the same time with 6 other, like if you have a carbon monoxide, you want to connect to it or whatever. But yes, so 12 smoke alarms, and we think that sufficiently covers the average house.
Terrific. That would cover my mansion, which is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house. So it's a mansion. It's mine. So what the heck? What are we talking about price-wise for these devices, whether they're a full system or individual, the kind of thing you might be walking down your hardware store or otherwise and say, oh, there's the Kitta stuff that Dave and Sharon were talking about. What can we expect to pay from what to what?
I think they're very, very affordable. So you can expect to pay between, depending on, again, if you buy a bundle or not, but you can expect to pay anywhere between $60 or $70 to $100 each. So they have they come in a variety of, bells and whistles, if you will. So one has a light on it. So think about an airplane. When it gets dark, you need a light, and smoke kind of produces that same darkness. So we have one with a light on it to help you escape, to help light your way out, essentially. And we have a combo. It's the smoke and the CO together, and then just a plain smoke alarm. They come in hardwired, so if you want to connect it to your home's electrical system, we have that version, and we also have one that's just a battery. It just has a battery that operates it, so it doesn't have to connect. That's ideal, by the way, for areas where you may want to add a smoke alarm, but you don't have the existing wiring.
Gotcha. And real quick, because you're such a delight to chat with, we could go on, but we're up against clocks. Imagine that, with technology. But real quick, placement of these smoke alarms too. Do they need to always be on a ceiling or at least up high on a wall? Hot air rises theory. How important is the placement?
It's so great. And so smoke alarms, I'm going to cover this very quickly because this is a point of confusion for a lot of people. Smoke alarms, at least one on every floor. Check your local codes because codes vary. We strongly recommend one in the bedroom as well. So at least one on every floor, one inside the bedroom. Now, let's talk about carbon monoxide for a second, because this is really a point of confusion for a lot of people. Carbon monoxide does not is not lighter than air and it's not heavier than air. It essentially weighs the same as air. It doesn't like cling at the floor. It doesn't cling on the ceiling. So you can have a carbon monoxide alarm at any height in the room as long as it has access to air. Don't put it in the corner. Don't put it in a dead air space. So that's like a point of confusion. So for combo alarms like the one that I'm holding here, you can put it on the ceiling or 4 inches at least down from the corner between where the wall and the ceiling.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, 4 inches. Just make sure that you keep it away from like a ceiling fan,
Gotcha.
or don't put it right under like a heat exchange because we don't want that air to complicate the matters.
Oh,
we
of
want to
course.
make sure that your sensor is sensing a good mix of air in the room.
Gotcha. Well, I'm going to try to wrestle a few. I'm not going to hold you to it right now, but we'll try to wrestle a few for summer giveaway. And speaking of summer, this is why it is extra important that safety first, especially while grilling during the summer, among other things. We've got to get you back. I know you might have some new products coming out that we've got to talk about at some point. I know nothing, but I'm assuming you may have something. So I
do.
Good guess.
You're an expert. I told you. Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
Sharon, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us. Of course, we'll get you back because there's more to cover. Keep up the good work in terms of informing all of us about the importance of fire safety and smoke alarms and carbon monoxide and everything we need to be concerned about. And we invite our audience to visit Kidde.com. It's KIDDE.com. We'll get you there too when you visit us at IntoTomorrow.com. I'm Dave Graveline. We're back with much more as Into Tomorrow continues at IntoTomorrow.com as well, right here on the Advanced Media Network.